Welcome to episode 3, season 2 of the Bulls REKAP Podcast. I'm Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times. You can obviously read me in the Sun-Times sports section, probably a Bulls story, or you can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And yes, we finally have some basketball. We had a week of training camp, first preseason game. Preseason games are going to be coming quick. So some trends, some good, some bad, some things that we can take away from the first couple weeks of the Bulls season. I know people have football on the brain, Cubs on the brain, but there is an NBA season that started, some interesting things. And I want to bring in my guy, the crime dog, Ryan McGuffey, to talk through it, get the people in a good place.
That's hard to do.
I know. It feels like people don't even want to acknowledge the NBA is starting just because, especially in this city right now, there's so much just the swamp of the Bears and getting sucked into that. And then obviously with the Cubs thing, and that's all understandable. But there are places where the NBA, Cleveland's pretty excited about this. I just got back from Cleveland with that first preseason game. And obviously Cavs fans are really excited with the way things are going with the Browns and then how the Indian season kind of just real quickly. So, yeah, it was good to be in a city and feel a vibe, and I thought that was a great place for the preseason to start for the Bulls just because you have the storylines. It's like the NBA almost like knows. You had Okoro going back to Cleveland, his first time in the visiting locker room. Lonzo Ball, I mean, he's been on a couple different teams, but what is his health situation going to be? So I thought it was like a great drama-filled preseason night, especially for what is basically meaningless basketball and really what you can decipher and take out of it, what you can feel good about, what you say is, for right now. So, yeah, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I had one eye. We were at we did an appearance the other night for our football show at Hooters, and so we had them put the game on. So it was like a one eye open type thing.
Right.
And I don't know. I was surprised at the amount of minutes that some of the big guys got. I mean, across the board, like I went back and looked the night of just to see, who did what. And I mean, almost to a man, how many guys played? 14 players had played.
Right.
Almost everyone got the exact
a lot of 20-minute stints or about 20-minute stints from both teams. And
it looked a lot like, to me, it looked, I looked up at one point, Bulls down 7 heading into the fourth. I'm like, been here before. Big rally, Bulls win by 1. Like it felt like a mid-season or felt like a March Bulls win.
Well, I tweeted out, I've seen this game before when they went down 18-6 to start the game. I'm like, and Billy's got to call a timeout and he's pissed and they're turning the ball over. And I'm like, different Bulls, same old Bulls. So the main thing I took out of it, obviously we all got a chance. Well, I was really the only media member there, but I got a chance to interview Isaac Okoro after and talk about the emotions of it because he was emotional. He even said if it was a regular season game, obviously, which is going to be in 3 weeks, they have to play there in 3 weeks. So that one's going to, be a little more of an impact. But he said, yeah, I had never come in the visiting locker room. I had never, the entrances. And that was his home. That was the only place he knew for 5 seasons. He was somewhat surprised about the trade, but not really with the way the season ended. His minutes were dwindling. So, I think he's going to be the starter. I did take that from that first game that obviously Billy doesn't want to show too much of his hand, but the main thing I took of it is Kobe White's out. If it would have been if he would have started Giddey, Ayo, Herter, and then Modest and Vuc, that would have been all right, Okoro's a bench guy. I mean, that's kind of how this looked. But the fact that the only thing that was Herter and Kobe's spot, that kind of tells me he's kind of showing his hand, and they know they need a defensive stopper in that starting lineup to help Modest be that rim protector. So I think he kind of showed his hand a little bit on that. And the other side of it, the guy he was traded for, Lonzo Ball. I asked Kenny Atkinson, the Cavs coach, I said, Lonzo, great guy here and stuff, but obviously so much heartbreak with his career. How are you guys going to handle it? And one of the first things he said is the goal for Lonzo Ball is to make sure he's up and running for the playoffs. So what does that tell you? I mean, that says a lot that he's going to be – he played in the game, obviously. He's not going to be playing back-to-backs. We all know – we all heard that before. minutes restrictions probably to start the season and maybe even throughout. The key is they need him to be ready come April and May because this Cavs team has huge and high aspirations of what they want it to be. But I was like, Matt, you're giving us a program that I know all too well as far as back-to-backs and minutes restrictions. So, you feel bad for Lonzo, but that's just his reality now. That's just what he operates under.
It's quite frankly, when we were hearing the fact that last year at this time that Lonzo was going to be a contributor, I think it's a miracle he's even playing. So
100%.
For you to validate that with what Cleveland's plan is, to me, makes this trade the absolute no-brainer that it was.
Right. And for both teams. And that's
right.
that's a great point you brought up, because I asked Billy, I was like, Cleveland's in a different space than you guys. So they can afford to you guys need regular season wins. And Lonzo, you don't know what he's going to give you in the regular season. Cleveland needs a high IQ backup guard coach on the floor come postseason, because that's what was exposed. And Billy said, I said, is that why you made the trade? Was that talked about that? Hey, we need a regular season dog in a curl. We love Lonzo. And he said, he told me, I get what you're saying. And that does make sense, because the Cavs and Bulls are in two different spaces. He said, but there was never a discussion of, hey, we know Lonzo is only good for a playoff team, because that's really where he could be maximized. They just wanted basically a forward stopper that they lacked because of Patrick Williams and his inability to develop in that role. So to me, it's not a failure of Lonzo Ball. That trade was more a failure of Patrick Williams not be able to take what was handed to him time and time again and run with it.
Speaking of P-Will, how do you feel he did? I mean, it's hard to judge one preseason game. He played 16 minutes, was 3 of 3,
right.
Hit a 3. How do you feel like in that role, at least in the initial onset, that he looked coming off the bench?
Well, the rest of these preseason games are going to be somewhat interesting, but maybe not, because I don't know if we're going to see that many minutes for the starters until the final preseason game. So it's kind of hard. It might be hard to read into these next couple preseason games and say, oh, this is P. Will's role. What I saw in that first game was telling, because he was the 11th guy off the bench. I mean, he was the 6th guy off the bench, off of the bench guys. He wasn't the 6th man. He was the 6th guy off the bench. Trey Jones, Ayo, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, Zach Collins, they all came in before him.
But don't you like that? Because
100%
on this podcast, you've said, look, man, we've given you every key that you could possibly have to every door in this building. Here's where you're at now. And
that's it.
Because we're paying you $90 million in 5 years, $90 million, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean you're the first guy off the bench. It means you're going to have to work your way into that role now too.
To me, they put him in the same doghouse where they put Javon Carter, Jalen Smith, and now Patrick Williams as 3 guys that, we probably made mistakes on. And so that's where those 3 guys are right now. Now, is this a message to Patrick that, hey, this is up to you. You can collect your money like Javon has the last couple of years and been a consummate pro, and we'll gladly pay him that check. He hasn't caused any problems. He hasn't been a headache. But this is a message to you. That's where we deem you now. We deem you as one of these shitty guys in the doghouse that has to play himself out. And I love that finally sending that message, because they've taken him to the water and begged him to drink for season after season after season. And finally, when you would think, oh, well, they just have to play him because of the money, they're saying, no, we don't. We don't have to play you because of the money. We'll pay you to sit there and be a fourth overall pick who is turning out to be a bust. So, and I don't know if that's going to ring true throughout the season, but I think it was a game one choice to say, hey, this is where we see you on the totem pole right now, and it's pretty low down. You're as high as on Modest as maybe anybody that I know. And for the right reasons. Like, you've had more eyeballs on him, quite frankly, than anybody. So, right. The stat line looked good in game one. Did you feel like that it matched the level of play, the intensity, and the guy that wants to be the centerpiece of the Bulls? All right, so I do have to correct one thing. For a year, I was told by someone who really should know, AK, that his last name should be pronounced properly as Buchelis from the motherland. Yeah. Modest told me, don't listen to AK. It's Buzelis. It is Buzelis. So he's listening. He's watching.
I saw some people actually in the last.
Yeah, and I was fighting with him. I'm like, you don't know, I know, because I was told by someone from overseas that that's how it's pronounced. And now I look like a big ass hat. Where Modest is like, dude, it's Buzelis. Don't listen to anyone else that told you otherwise. So I don't know if they just want it more Americanized or that's what they go with, no matter what people from the motherland say. But it is Buzelis. And I will say this: he saved media day. We talked about that last week in the podcast, just by coming out and saying, why can't I be, an all defensive player? That he's like, my mindset is to do things that haven't been done yet. And if people think I can't, then prove them wrong. I mean, he just has the it factor. And he put a hezzy move on Mobley, who's obviously an elite defender and defensive player of the year. And Mobley's still looking for, the rest of his jockstrap because he just his ball handling at 6'10", it's just not fair. I would like to see more of it. I would like to see him get the ball on the break and actually be a facilitator. He tried a couple times. He had a bad turnover one time where they just took his candy from him. But to me, sky's the limit. When you look at what he did, there's no reason he can't be a 20-10 guy. And the blocks will come. And the scary thing is he's like, I didn't think I played that well because I'm not in shape. He goes, give me about – the rest of these preseason games, more training camp, because they've been going hard in training camp. Billy's been freaking just whipping the guys. I mean, it has been a hard training camp as far as what they want to do, as far as building up the heart rate and all that kind of stuff to run that offense. And he's like, when I get in shape, then you're going to see some things. So, no, I thought it was for a debut from him, the confidence he shot the three with. I mean, I just think there's no reason this guy can't fall out of bed and be a 20-10 guy. So
you talked about the energy or the excitement of the Bulls to start this podcast. So the other night, was it 2 nights ago? I was at Wrigley Field covering the Cubs for us at the recap, and it might have even been yesterday as we taped this. And they cut to a shot of the Bulls in a skybox. And they had the Alan Parsons Project with Sirius going.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, Joe, it sounded.
Yeah.
They had to put the font up. Like it's not like it was Michael and Scotty sitting in there. They had to put like Chicago Bulls, and so people would be like, "Oh," and it almost was like a G League type introduction, kind of like, "Oh, okay." The sparse crowd, the sparse reaction. It wasn't a sparse crowd,
right?
And they've created that. They have created that. But I guess my question for you on that is, like Modest is so driven. Billy knows the team he has. He's busting their ass in training camp. Are they quietly? Is this a team? Because you have expectations for as high as a 6th seed, as you said here on the podcast.
Yeah.
I heard some people on the radio this week. Everyone's poo-pooing the Bulls as one of the league's worst teams, and I'm like, okay. This is just complete uneducation of knowing what the rest of the league is like right now. So long-winded way of asking you, can the Bulls embrace the apathy of the city and they're not going to surprise anybody if they go 44-38 or 45-37 and play themselves into the 6th seed, but can they embrace the apathy at all? I'm talking about the team. Forget the front office because they do embrace the apathy.
Yeah.
Can a guy like Modest open people's eyes come turn of the calendar year and like, man, this guy's playing at an all-star level?
I think they can, and I think if they can develop a style of play on the defensive end, whether it's Okoro and Modest taking that step up and Io being healthy and being a two-way guard, if they can develop that kind of toughness on the defensive end, Chicago embraces that. People fall in love with it. I think a lot of people fell in love with the offense becoming, in their eyes, more modern last year. With just the high octane but this is Billy's background. This is what they did at Providence when freaking Patino first came there and Billy was a player for him. And this is what they did when he went to Kentucky. It was high octane, defend your ass off. And Billy would love to get that second aspect of it, defend your ass off. That's why the Okoro thing's so important. But yeah, I mean, they're going to get the attendance. It's Wrigley Field winter. I've always, I've been saying that for a while now. That's what the United Center is. It's Wrigley Field winter. You come, you see the statue in the atrium, take a picture in front of it, go and cheer, and not even realize, this is probably not a game you want to cheer for because if they lose, it betters their lottery, whatever. We're past all that. So I definitely think and it probably won't happen till the snow's on the ground.
right,
because just the way Chicago is sports-wise. But I definitely think they're one of those teams that come January, late December, when the Christmas Day fiesta of the NBA kicks off, people will look and say, oh, I kind of like the way this team's playing. Or, because when you think about it, they got 6 key players on expiring contracts that are playing for their NBA next big contract. That motivates guys. They have a modest Buzelis who is ready to explode on the scene. They have Isaac Okoro who has a chip on his shoulder because you were traded from the place that no longer – I mean, so all the ingredients are there for this team. They're not going to be better than Orlando. They're not going to be better than Detroit. I mean, the NBA you can only cheat so much. You are what you kind of are. Boston's going to be interesting to see if Jaylen Brown is an elite superstar and could carry them. But I would say they can be better than Boston with the way Boston cleared house. Philadelphia is the wild card in this, who plays and stuff. They're not going to be better than Cleveland. So there's 4 or 5 teams they're not going to be better than New York. But can they be in that group that's better than Atlanta, better than Philly, better than Indiana without Halliburton? And to me, that's where the logjam is going to be, that 5, 6, 7, 8. And I think they could fight for that spot. And I do think if they get the defensive component that people in Chicago would embrace, that this team would all of a sudden, I mean, it's not the attendance thing, but they'll have more eyes on them because the attendance is always going to be the attendance. So there'll be people more excited about them. So, and especially if it's modest, if you got that dude developing, it's almost like, hell, even if we're in the play-in, but Modest 20 and 10 with 1.5 blocks a game and is being mentioned in the All-Star game and stuff like that, because now you got your piece, you got your foundation piece that you could actually start saying, okay, let's start putting this together. So, yeah, I think they can capture it. Will they? That remains to be seen because they do have so many guys that are defensive liabilities, but will they at least become a good team defense?
Yeah, last thing I got is a week from tonight as we tape this, they wrap up their preseason slate. So
yeah,
we're taping this. They have a game tonight against Cleveland, the home and home. So what do you – okay, so is the Bulls here in the next 7 days put a wrap on their preseason slate of games and start to get into the regular season portion of their practice schedule, et cetera? What do you need to see? What are you expecting to see in this next 7 days? Because they got 4 games.
Right. So, yeah, I mentioned Modest. I loved Ayo. I loved what he did. I think Ayo can become that guard off the bench that just causes havoc on both ends. He's got to stay healthy. Trey Jones is one of those dudes, you put your head down for like 3 minutes to type in my profession. You look up and you're like, oh, shit, they just went on a 7-0 run. Why did they? And then you look and Trey Jones didn't score, but he – had 2 steals, 2 assists. He did have a tricky layup on this crazy angle. So I talked to him about that after the game, and he's like, that's my goal, is to impact winning any way I can. And his understanding of the game and how to impact winning is something that he did at Apple Valley in Minnesota as a high schooler and did it at the college level. And this dude is just an impact winner. So huge, him being healthy and having now a full year, huge. And then, like I said, Zach Collins playing for a contract. Watch that. I mean, he could be a really good backup center, possibly even close games. And then I think for a fan thing, Yuki Karamora, I mean, he's just going to be a fan favorite. He's not going to make the team. He's not going to make an impact. He'll be awesome at Hoffman Estates and put asses in the seats there for the G League. But when he gets a chance to get in the game, people go crazy just because he's such a fun story. The concerns I have, the defense, I still haven't seen the physicality. We've heard about it. We've been told about it. I didn't see it. It's just one game. The Kobe calf makes me a little nervous. They've ramped it up. They've had to pull him back. They feel good. Like the goal on, they're knocking on wood that he can play in the last preseason game and then be ready for the regular season. But then you're probably looking at some minutes restrictions out of the gate. You can't have a setback with the calf because then he's betting on himself, final year of a contract. Now, if the calf becomes a lingering issue, well, then does it turn into the Achilles? Because we've seen that the last couple of years. Or if it doesn't, is it something where it keeps straining and slowing him down? And then even if things go south, he's not a trade asset that he was. So that has me a little nervous. I don't think he didn't pop the calf, so that's big. And then obviously, like we talked about at the beginning, P. Will. This is on you now, bro. You created this. You're in the doghouse. Do you stay in it, or do you fight to get out? So we'll find out a lot about him, the man, not just the basketball player, the man moving forward. So still a lot of stuff to watch. I mean, I know a lot of people don't give a shit unless Caleb's throwing the football or, the Cubs. But there's some fun things going on.
This is the first time Chicago, we've talked about this city has been dying for some type of playoff team. So whether or not the Cubs go one more night or one more week and the Bears string a Monday night win, it's actually for the first time in a while, at least there's a little bit of some other kind of energy in a good way happening in this city, because God, this whole pack up the truck, move on from baseball. Oh, what do we have to look forward to?
Yep.
Oh, Blackhawks and Bulls. Yay.
Yeah.
And then it's just baton hand. So at least there, maybe it's a little false optimism. I don't think so when you have a playoff team. Maybe the Bear, I don't know.
I had to remind Io of the bet that was made on this very podcast, our Bears Steelers. I had to remind him of two things: that there is a lingering bet out there about finishing with a better record,
and they go head to head too.
And they go head to head on November 23rd, which I like to call for the Steelers the second bye week.
Well, hey, until proven otherwise, Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears.
We'll see. So hey, great time of year. This is the best time of year. I don't care what anyone says. You got football going, college football going. The Bulls have started. Blackhawks have started. There is a baseball team with a pulse. Now, look, it could all go south, and within 2 weeks, things could just be like, oh, Blackhawks, Bulls. 2 days. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, but, hey, that first game showed some stuff. Training camp showed some stuff. So, and then next week, knock on wood, we got a fun show planned for next week.
Looking forward to it, man.
I want to give it away, but it should be a fun one. So
always love being on with you. You put a bow on this puppy, I'll take off.
All right, sounds good. All right, so that's it. No list this week. We went through a list of guys. Cowley Island, you've heard me rant. And like I said, episode 4 could be really fun. We'll see if it works out. Obviously, people have schedules, all that kind of stuff. But until next week, I got next.